At my daughter's science fair, I found her volcano smashed in the sink. My sister smirked, "It's just paper, Ivan." The next day, my parents begged me to pay for her charity gala. I stayed silent, watched it get canceled, then used the same hall for my kids' celebration. Hey Reddit, my family never forgave me for marrying the woman I loved, and after she passed, they took it out on our daughter. I tried to keep the peace for years, but they pushed too far. Before it all fell apart, let me start from the beginning. I'm Ivan. I'm 32, and it's just me and my daughter these days. We live in a small two-bedroom apartment above a laundromat. I work full-time at a logistics office. Paperwork, phone calls, tracking deliveries. It's not exciting, but it pays for rent, food, and the school field trips Violet loves. Every morning starts the same. I make coffee in Iris's old chipped sunflower mug, the one she bought at a garage sale because it reminded her of road trips. She's been gone 4 years now, but that mug and her cardigan still stay where she left them. Sometimes Violet wears the sweater when she misses her mom, the sleeves swallowing her arms. Violet's 8, small, bright, full of energy, with Iris's same dark hair and light eyes. Everyone says she's her mother's copy. My family hates that. They never forgave me for marrying Iris without their approval. My parents skipped the wedding, and Sophia called that night to say I'd embarrassed the family. After Iris died, I thought they'd finally soften. They didn't. Mom looks at Violet and only sees Iris. Sophia barely looks at her at all. Dad acts like she's invisible. I stopped forcing visits. Violet doesn't need that kind of cold. Sophia's 35 and always in the spotlight. Galas, fundraisers, endless drama. My parents treat her like she can do no wrong. When she messes up, it's stress. When I say no, it's attitude. I've always been the fixer, handling her bills, jumping cars, keeping peace. Lately, I've started realizing that's not fair. Our apartment's small, but ours. A wobbly table, a torn couch, Violet's drawings all over the fridge. Every morning she feeds the 2 stray cats out back, Pickle and Bean, before we drive to school in my squeaky hatchback that she says laughs. Her birthday falls on the same weekend as the school science fair, so she decided to combine them. A science birthday. She wanted to build a volcano because, as she said, Mom loved mountains, but this one explodes. I bought the basics: cardboard, glue, paint, vinegar, baking soda. Every night after dinner, we build it together. She wears one of my old shirts as a lab coat and hums while painting. The first version looked rough, but she called it still in formation. She named it Mount Resilience because it's strong even if it gets messy. That sounded exactly like something Iris would have said. Later that night, I texted the family group chat to invite them. I wrote, "Violet's science fair is Saturday at the community center, 2 p.m. We're making it her birthday party too. She'd love to see everyone." Sophia replied an hour later, "I'll try to make it. Busy weekend." Mom just reacted with a thumbs up emoji. Dad didn't say anything. It hit me harder than it should have. When we were younger, they went to every single one of Sophia's things. Dance recitals, debate tournaments, even when she helped organize a charity walk once. They made banners for her. I didn't expect parades or anything, but a little enthusiasm would have been nice. I shut my phone off and went back to help Violet finish cleaning the sink. Tonight, she sat on the floor with construction paper, cutting triangles for a banner. "Dad, can we make cupcakes too? I want chocolate with red frosting like lava." I told her sure, we'd bake them Friday night. She said we need fake smoke, maybe from dry ice, and I told her I'd figure it out. She clapped like I just promised her the moon. Intrutes. The week before the fair felt like every evening turned into a craft show in our apartment. Right after dinner, Violet would clear the plates, drag a pile of cardboard out from behind the couch and announce Volcano time, like it was a TV show. I told her I was bad at arts and crafts, but she said I was good at holding things steady. So that was my job. Hold the cardboard base while she smeared paste with a spoon and built layers. "You gotta make it rounder," she'd tell me, squinting like an architect. I'd nod and say, "Yes, ma'am," even though my fingers were sticking to everything. We mixed flour, water, and glue until the bowl looked like pancake batter, then slapped strips of paper over the frame. It was messy, fun, and slow. Every time the volcano started taking shape, Violet would tilt her head, studying it like it was alive. "It's not just a school thing," she said one night. "It's a real volcano. It just hasn't decided when to erupt yet." I told her she was starting to sound like her mom. Iris used to talk like that. Like everything had a personality. Even furniture. When I told her that, Violet smiled big and said, "Good. Then maybe she can see it through me." I didn't know what to say, so I handed her the brush, and she painted another layer. The first real test happened on Wednesday. We set the volcano in the kitchen sink because the balcony drain was clogged again. Violet poured vinegar into the crater while I held the phone to record. She dumped in a spoonful of baking soda, and the red foam shot up higher than we expected, spilling everywhere. She shrieked, half in surprise, half in joy. I started laughing too, mostly because it looked like we'd murdered a bottle of ketchup. We both slipped a little trying to clean it, and she kept saying, "This is perfect." It works too good. On Thursday, we took a quick trip to the dollar store for decorations. Violet picked everything bright and mismatched. Red balloons, orange paper banners, plastic cups with cartoon volcanoes on them, even though they were from some leftover summer theme. She said it matched the magma vibe. She found glitter glue and asked if she could make a sign for her table. I said sure, figuring it'd keep her busy while I sorted supplies. That night, she sat cross-legged on the floor, tongue poking out the side of her mouth as she wrote. When she finished, she held it up proudly. Volcano Squad, each letter outlined in silver sparkles. "We're a team," she said. "Me, you, and Mom. The squad." I don't know why, but that hit me in the chest. Iris would have loved that. She had this way of making things fun even when they were falling apart. If she were here, she'd probably be sitting right beside Violet, gluing fake smoke on the volcano and playing music too loud. Instead, it was just us. Quiet except for the noise of the laundry machines downstairs. I watched Violet tape the banner above the project like it was something sacred. She stepped back, crossed her arms, and nodded to herself like a little scientist. Friday was for finishing touches. We added brown paint to cover the newspaper lines and brushed orange streaks down the sides to look like cooling lava. Violet suggested using her old nightlight under the volcano to make it glow. We tried it, and it actually looked good, so we kept it. I told her it was probably the smartest thing anyone's ever done with a broken unicorn lamp. When it was finally done, we left it on the kitchen table to dry overnight. The thing looked amazing. Not perfect, but alive in a way. Violet circled the table, checking it from every side like a judge on a TV show. "We did it," she said, grinning so hard her cheeks turned pink. "Tomorrow's gonna be the best day ever." I wanted to believe that too. I looked at her, paint under her nails, hair sticking up in little curls, and thought about how Iris used to say Violet was her mirror. She really was. Same stubborn smile, same spark in her eyes, same need to make something out of nothing. After she went to bed, I stayed up a bit, double-checking that the paint wouldn't stick to the table. The volcano sat there glowing faintly from the nightlight underneath. It felt like the kind of thing you'd see in a picture of what a good childhood looks like. I cleaned up the brushes, turned off the kitchen light, and stood in the doorway for a second. Tomorrow was her big day. We had everything ready, decorations in a bag, cupcakes planned for the morning, project by the door waiting for the car. I closed the door to her room and heard her mumbling in her sleep. Something about lava teamwork. I smiled. If only I knew how much that little volcano would end up meaning later. I would have stayed up watching it dry a bit longer. Saturday morning started early. The community center gym was already packed when we got there. Kids running between tables, parents taping posters, and the smell of paint and glue everywhere. You could hear blow dryers, laughter, and someone's Bluetooth speaker playing kids' songs too loud. I carried the volcano in both hands like it was glass. Violet held the banner rolled up under her arm. She wore her white Volcano Squad shirt that we made with fabric markers the night before. She'd written Team Violet on the back in red glitter. She kept bouncing on her toes while I looked for our assigned table. We found our spot near the wall, next to a kid who'd built a paper solar system that kept losing its planets. I set the volcano down carefully, double-checked that it hadn't cracked during the drive. It looked perfect under the gym lights. Brown slopes, orange streaks, and that small glow from the lamp underneath. Violet placed her little flag on top and whispered, "Mount Resilience reporting for duty." I laughed, even though I was tired. We'd been up late baking cupcakes and cleaning the paint mess. She was still full of energy. I helped her tape the banner to the front of the table. She arranged her materials: vinegar bottle, food coloring, baking soda, and plastic cup, just like she'd practiced. Parents started walking around looking at the projects. A few stopped at ours, smiling and telling Violet how creative it was. She stood tall, explaining how the eruption happens because of a chemical reaction. One lady said she sounded like a real scientist, and Violet grinned so big I thought her face might split. I was carrying a box of juice boxes and paper plates to the snack table when Sophia showed up. Late, of course. She walked in like she was arriving at a red carpet, sunglasses still on inside the building, holding a big fancy iced coffee. She had a gift bag in one hand that looked untouched. "Wow," she said looking around. "So this is it?" Her tone was half curious, half insult. Yep, I said, setting down the box. Kids are having fun. She looked at our table and wrinkled her nose. You really went all out with the decorations, huh? Dollar store special? I ignored it. Violet's proud of it, I said. That's what matters. Sophia shrugged and took a sip of her drink. I'm just saying, it's a little messy. You should have asked me for help. I could have made it look more presentable. It's fine, I said, smiling tight. She's 8. It's supposed to look like a kid did it. Sophia rolled her eyes and started scrolling through her phone. Suit yourself. Anyway, Mom said she might stop by if she gets done at the salon. I just nodded and walked away before I said something I'd regret. I told Violet I'd be right back and went outside to grab the extra bin of decorations from the car. It took maybe 5 minutes to grab the bin. When I came back through the gym doors, the noise hit first. Kids shouting, someone crying near the snack table, a teacher raising her voice to get order. Then the smell hit me. Vinegar and paint, strong and sour, like something had exploded. I set the bin down hard and looked toward our table. The banner was half hanging off, one corner ripped. The little paper cups were tipped over, juice boxes leaking across the floor. But the volcano itself, gone. I pushed through a cluster of kids holding their projects and followed the smell to the back corner. That's when I saw it. The volcano was in the sink, not just broken, smashed. The cardboard was caved in, soggy red foam dripping down the stainless steel like blood. The little flag Violet made was plastered against the wall, sliding slowly into the drain. A kid nearby was pointing and laughing. Sophia was standing next to it, leaning against the counter with her phone in one hand, stirring her coffee with the other. Calm, untouched, like this was all background noise. What happened? I asked. It came out louder than I meant. Heads turned. She didn't even flinch. Guess your kid went overboard. It erupted all over the place. She smiled like it was a joke. The smell burned my eyes. There was foam splattered on the cabinets, red puddles across the floor. Someone's poster soaked through on the next table. I saw the nightlight lamp under the volcano flicker once, then die with a faint pop. I stepped forward and grabbed what was left, my hands shaking. The paper crumbled apart, paste and paint smearing across my palms. Sophia tilted her head. It's just paper, Ivan. You're acting like someone died. Some of the other parents started whispering, pretending not to stare. I could hear the squeak of sneakers, the buzz of fluorescent lights, someone laughing too loud in the corner. Everything felt too bright, too hot. I dropped the soggy pile into the trash, wiped my hands on the towel dispenser, stood there a beat, then fished the mess back out, sealed it in a garbage bag, took it with me and turned to her. What did you do? She blinked at me, fake innocent. Wow, you're accusing me now? Maybe keep better track of your stuff. It looked unstable. Her tone was sugar-coated, but the smirk gave her away. My jaw clenched so tight it hurt. You should leave, I said, keeping my voice low. She rolled her eyes and laughed. Relax, it's a school fair, not a museum. You're so dramatic. Behind us, a janitor started mopping up the mess. I caught him looking at me like he pitied me. The red streaks on the tile looked like someone had spilled paint everywhere. I couldn't even answer her. I just turned away and started cleaning what was left, shoving soggy paper into a trash bag while the noise of the room swelled around me. Kids yelling, parents talking, chairs scraping. The world felt like static. When I finally looked up again, Sophia was gone. The sink was empty. And the only thing left from Violet's volcano was the bent little flag, stuck to the drain like it was trying not to disappear. I took a second to breathe, then walked back to our table. Violet was sitting on a folding chair, swinging her legs and holding a cupcake. She looked up at me, smiling. Dad, where's the volcano? I crouched beside her and said, Hey, you look tired. Maybe we should head home early and do our own volcano show later, just you and me. Her smile faded a bit. But the judges haven't come yet. They've seen plenty, I said. Besides, we'll make a better one at home. A secret project. She hesitated, then nodded. Okay, but can I bring the banner? Of course, I said, and helped her take it down. She held it carefully, like it was glass. We packed up the table quietly. A few parents asked if everything was all right, and I just said, yeah, she's not feeling great. We left before she could come back. The car ride was mostly silent. The sky was gray and the radio was low. Violet stared out the window, flag clutched in her lap. After a few minutes, she said softly, Did I do something wrong? I didn't even touch it. I shook my head. No, sweetheart. You did everything perfect. Sometimes people just break things they don't understand. She didn't say anything after that. She just kept holding the little flag until she fell asleep halfway home. When I carried her inside, she was still holding it tight. I laid her on the bed, pulled the blanket over her and looked at the glitter letters shining faintly in the lamplight. I sat there for a minute, tired and angry, but mostly just sad. Not for the volcano, but because my daughter thought she'd done something wrong, when all she'd done was build something beautiful. The next morning, the apartment felt heavier than usual. The air was still, like even the walls were waiting for something to happen. Violet was still asleep on the couch. She'd crawled there sometime after midnight, holding the little bent flag from her volcano like it was a teddy bear. Her shirt had a red stain from the foam. I brushed a strand of hair out of her face, careful not to wake her. My phone finally rang around 9. Mom's name flashed across the screen. I figured she was calling to check on Violet, maybe even apologize for Sophia's behavior. "Hey," I said. "Ivan," she started, voice tight. "We have a small problem with Sophia's charity event. The community center is threatening to cancel if they don't get the rest of the payments soon." It took me a second to realize what she'd just said. "That's what you're calling about?" "I know the timing's bad," she said, ignoring my tone. "But they said they might pull the date if someone doesn't smooth things over. You're good with people. Maybe call them, explain that the transfer is on the way?" I laughed once, dry. "You're serious?" "This event is important," she pressed on. "It's for the hospital fundraiser." I leaned back in my chair. "Mom, yesterday, at that same community center, Sophia destroyed Violet's project. She humiliated my daughter. Maybe you should call them about that instead." There was a pause, a short sigh. "You always make things sound worse than they are." Sophia said it was an accident. "Yeah," I said flatly. "Sure." "Ivan, please," she said, her voice getting softer but not kinder. "You know how your sister is. She can be careless, but she means well. The venue needs reassurance. If they cancel, it'll look bad for all of us." "I'm not calling them," I said. "Fine," she snapped, the softness gone. "But don't say we didn't try to keep this family together." Then she hung up. I sat there staring at the wall for a while. Around noon, there was a knock at the door. 3 quick knocks, the kind Dad always used when he was annoyed. I thought about not answering, but then Violet came out of her room rubbing her eyes, asking, "Who's that?" I sighed. "Grandpa." She perked up a little, so I opened the door. Dad walked in without waiting, holding his hat in one hand like it made him polite. He looked around the apartment, his eyes landing on the half-smashed volcano, still sitting by the trash. He didn't ask about it. "We need to talk," he said, setting his hat on the counter. "Morning to you too," I said. "I just came from your mother," he started. "She's upset. The center's threatening to cancel your sister's gala. It's a mess, Ivan. You could fix it with one phone call." I leaned on the counter. "No," he frowned. "Don't be stubborn. You've always been the reasonable one. That's code for the one who cleans up after Sophia, right?" He gave a slow exhale, the kind that means he's about to say something worse. "You think you're the only one sacrificing for this family? That money your sister put down came from us. Well, technically from the account we opened for Violet." I froze. "What account?" "The education savings," he said casually, like he was telling me the weather. "It's temporary. We'll put it back after the gala. Don't look at me like that. It's all family money." My pulse thudded in my ears. "You took from my daughter's account to fund Sophia's party?" He waved a hand. "It's not a party, it's a fundraiser. It'll help the community. You're overreacting." "That money came from Iris," I said, my voice flat. "It was what she left behind. The insurance payout, the savings, everything. I've been adding to it for years for Violet's school. It's in a custodial account my parents set up years ago, which is how they still had transfer access." He shifted his weight, annoyed now. "You always make everything about Iris. You're not the only one who lost someone." I stepped closer. "Yeah? Then why is it her kid paying for Sophia's gala?" He looked away, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "You wouldn't understand. Sophia's event is important. People are watching. It represents the family." "There it is," I said quietly. "Family first. As long as it's your favorite part of the family." His jaw tightened. "You've got an attitude problem. That's why people don't call you for help anymore." I opened the door and pointed. "You should go." He hesitated, then grabbed his hat and walked out without another word. The door shut harder than I meant it to. Violet was standing in the hallway, holding her stuffed bunny, wide-eyed. "Were you fighting with Grandpa?" I knelt down, forcing a smile. "Just talking too loud, that's all." She looked past me at the table. "Did Grandma take my school money?" For a second, I didn't know what to say. Then I put a hand on her shoulder. "Don't worry, sweetheart. We'll get it back." She nodded slowly and hugged the bunny tighter. "Okay." That night, after she went to bed, I sat on the couch with Iris's mug in my hands. I wasn't sure if I was angry or just tired, But one thing was clear. I was done fixing things that other people kept breaking. Monday started like every other workday. I got to the office early, poured myself bad coffee, and went straight into emails. By lunchtime, I was staring at the screen without reading anything. I decided to take a break, scroll through Facebook for a few minutes, just to zone out. That's when I saw it. Sophia's charity gala post had been shared by about 20 people already. The caption read, "Join us for a night of inspiration and giving, celebrating the future generation." And right under the text was a photo of Violet, my 8-year-old daughter, smiling in front of her science fair Volcano, holding the little flag that said, Volcano Squad. They'd cropped the background and added their own filter. Over her head in bold gold letters, "Inspiring the next generation." My stomach dropped so fast I felt dizzy. I clicked the picture, zoomed in. It was definitely from the school fair. I recognized the gym floor, even the same paint smudge on her cheek. She must have snapped it while I was hauling the juice boxes. Before everything went sideways. I didn't even finish my sandwich. I grabbed my phone and texted Sophia, "Take my kid off your ad." She replied a few minutes later, "Relax. It's for a good cause. You're so uptight sometimes." I stared at the message until my hands started shaking. Then I called her, straight to voicemail. I called again. Same thing. I tried Mom next. She picked up after 2 rings. "Mom," I said, trying to keep my voice even, "why is Violet's face on Sophia's gala poster?" She paused. "What? Oh, you mean the flyer? It's lovely, isn't it?" "No," I said. "It's not lovely. It's my daughter. You used her picture without asking me." "Oh, Ivan," she sighed. "You always make things about Iris. This isn't about your grief. It's about family unity. The gala celebrates future generations. Violet is family. She's not a decoration," I said. "You had no right." "I didn't make the poster," she said, defensive now. "Sophia handled it, and it's for a good cause. You should be proud your daughter's inspiring people." "I'm not proud," I said. "I'm disgusted." There was silence. Then she said, "You're overreacting again," and hung up. I sat there in my cubicle, phone still in my hand, heart pounding. My coworker Mike leaned over the partition. "You good, man?" "Yeah," I said automatically. "Just family stuff." He nodded like he understood. "Everyone has family stuff, right? Except not everyone's family steals their kid's picture for publicity." The rest of the day I barely worked. By the time I got home, I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to yell or argue anymore. That never worked. I was going to start keeping records. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open. I took screenshots of the Facebook post, of the comments from people calling Violet so inspiring, of Mom's message thread, of Sophia's replies. I downloaded the picture, saved the date, the time. Then I went through my email and pulled up the bank statements from when the education account was drained. Every message, every call log, every screenshot, I printed them. The old printer wheezed like it was protesting, but it worked. I found an empty binder from Iris's old work stuff and started sliding the pages in one by one. It was slow, quiet work. I didn't really have a plan yet. I just wanted proof. Something that said, "This happened. I'm not crazy." When I was done, I put the binder in the drawer under the sink. I didn't know why I chose there. Maybe because it was where Iris used to keep the important mail. Violet came out of her room wearing her pajamas, holding a brush and a small cup of paint. "Dad, can we finish the volcano tonight?" I looked up. "You want to fix it?" She nodded. "You said we could make it again. Maybe even better this time." She set the cardboard base on the table. Smaller, but sturdy. The top was still rough, unpainted. "All right," I said. "Let's do it." We sat together painting the sides brown again. She hummed quietly, focused, dipping the brush carefully. I tried to match her strokes. "Grandma's mad again?" she said after a while, not looking up. "Why would you say that?" "She always gets mad when you don't do what she wants." I didn't answer right away. "They just forget what's important sometimes," I said finally. She nodded like she understood, even though she shouldn't have to. After an hour, the volcano started to look like something again. Not as tall as before, but smoother. She added orange streaks and said, "This one's better. It's more real." "Yeah," I said quietly. "It is." When she went to bed, I stayed up cleaning the brushes. The table was covered in paint again, but it didn't bother me this time. I glanced at the binder drawer before turning off the light. They thought I'd keep letting them get away with everything, but now I had something they couldn't twist or talk over. Proof. And for the first time in a long while, I felt calm. By Wednesday morning, the emails started coming in. The subject line read, "Outstanding balance. Sophia's charity gala." The community center manager had CC'd me by mistake, or maybe on purpose. Later, she told me she'd pulled my email from the science fair sign-in sheet and CC'd me because she recognized my name. The first message was polite, just a reminder that the final payment was due by Friday at 5 p.m. The second one mentioned difficulty reaching the client and inappropriate tone during previous correspondence. I read them twice, then closed my laptop. I didn't reply. By Thursday, they sent another one. This time, the language was firmer. Failure to submit the remaining balance will result in cancellation of the reservation. I could picture Sophia reading that, rolling her eyes, thinking someone would bail her out again. I didn't even think about it this time. I wasn't calling, I wasn't emailing, and I wasn't stepping in. Let her deal with it. That evening, I picked up Violet from school. She ran to the car holding a drawing of a volcano erupting with glitter smoke. "It's us," she said, pointing to two stick figures standing beside it. "We're safe because we built it together." I smiled. Looks about right. When we got home, we ate leftovers and worked on the new volcano again. It was smaller than the first, but better built. Violet was proud of it. "This one's not going to break," she said confidently. "No," I told her. "This one's unbreakable." We painted it red and black, added small LED tea lights inside for the glow. She kept switching them on and off, pretending it was erupting. "We should do a show again," she said. "But just for us." "Maybe," I said. "Maybe for more than just us." The next morning, my inbox had exploded. The manager's latest email had a line that stood out. "We've attempted to contact Ms. Sophia multiple times with no response." I scrolled down and saw her last reply to them, a one-line message that said, "I told you I'll pay when I can. Stop harassing me." I leaned back in my chair, half amused. Same Sophia, entitled, rude, expecting everyone else to bend the rules. Then came the texts. At 9:17 a.m. "Mom, please, Ivan, talk to them. Don't let your sister ruin this. You know how hard she's worked." At 10:02 a.m. "Dad, be the bigger man. This isn't the time to hold grudges." At 11:45 a.m. "Sophia, if this gets canceled, it's on you. You could have fixed this in 5 minutes." I didn't answer any of them. Around noon, Mom called. I didn't pick up. Then she texted again. "I hope you can live with yourself if she loses everything." I just turned my phone face down and went back to work. The day dragged on. I could almost feel the tension building through my phone. Each buzz, another plea or accusation. But for once, I wasn't part of it. I wasn't the fixer. I wasn't the backup plan. At 4:57 p.m., my phone started ringing nonstop. I ignored every call. Then, at 5:03 p.m., an email notification popped up. Subject: reservation canceled. Event account: Sophia's charity gala. I opened it slowly. "Dear Ms. Sophia, as of 5 p.m., no payment was received. Per the contract terms, your reservation has been canceled and the deposit forfeited. Community Center Management." I stared at the screen for a few seconds, then exhaled. Not relief, not excitement, just quiet. Then I clicked reply. "Hi, this is Ivan. I'd like to reserve the same hall and date for a small children's science event. Please let me know if that's possible." I attached my payment information, sent it, and closed my laptop. Violet was sitting on the floor nearby, painting the volcano base again. She looked up when she heard me. "Dad, look!" I added tiny rocks at the bottom, so it looks real. I knelt beside her. The volcano glowed faintly from the lights inside, the paint still wet but already beautiful. "You're getting really good at this," I said. She shrugged proudly. "You helped." "Yeah," I said, smiling. "But you built it." She added another coat of orange paint. "Can we make it explode tomorrow?" "Tomorrow sounds perfect." She clapped her hands, smudging paint across her cheek. "Mount Resilience 2.0, she shouted. I laughed. "You've got it." Derp. That night, after she fell asleep, I sat by the window with a notebook. I checked my email one more time. The manager had already replied, "Hi, Ivan, the date is available. Thank you for your prompt payment. We've confirmed your reservation for Saturday evening. Looking forward to hosting your event." I smiled and closed the laptop again. The hall finally stilled. For years, I'd been the one trying to patch things up, the one covering bills, making excuses, smoothing things over. But tonight felt different. For once, I wasn't cleaning up someone else's mess. The little volcano glowed softly in the dark. I thought about Iris for a moment. How proud she'd be of Violet, of how much of her spirit lived in that kid. I stood up, turned off the lights, and whispered to myself, "This one's unbreakable." And for the first time, I actually believed it. Saturday came quiet and clear. The day that was supposed to be Sophia's big charity gala belonged to Violet instead. When we got to the community center, the parking lot was half empty, and the air smelled like dust in summer. The manager unlocked the hall for us, smiling when she saw the small banner under my arm. By evening, a few friends and neighbors started arriving. Nothing fancy, just good people. My coworker Mike brought his kids. Violet's teacher, Mrs. Carter, came with brownies. Even our downstairs neighbor, the lady who feeds stray cats, showed up with lemonade and paper cups. We hung cheap string lights along the walls, and Violet taped her Volcano Squad banner above the table again. Her second volcano sat proudly in the middle, lights glowing softly inside like it was alive. I'd picked up a small speaker for background music. The place smelled like cupcakes and paint. It wasn't a gala, but it felt right. When everyone was settled, Violet climbed onto a chair, clutching her note cards. "This is Mount Resilience," she said, clear and proud. "It's called that because it came back stronger, just like people can." You could have heard a pin drop. Then she poured the vinegar, dropped the baking soda, and stepped back. The foam bubbled over in glowing red light. The kids gasped and clapped, cheering loud enough to make her blush. She laughed, wide and bright, and I felt something loosen in my chest. When it was over, people crowded around her, saying how creative she was. Mrs. Carter told her she should join the school's science club. Violet kept smiling, eyes sparkling like she'd just saved the world. Later, we passed out snacks. The kids played tag while parents talked. I stood back and watched Violet chase a balloon across the floor, laughing so hard she nearly fell. For the first time in a long time, the noise felt good. We got home late. She fell asleep on the couch, still wearing her Volcano Squad shirt, frosting on her cheek. I carried her to bed and tucked her in. Her banner hung crooked on the wall, and I left it there. It belonged there. The next morning, someone knocked. It was Dad. He stood in the doorway, hat in hand, looking older. He didn't ask to come in, just held out an envelope. "It's the money," he said, pressing a cashier's check into my hand. "We hit the bank when it opened. It's time we make it right." I opened it. The full amount from Violet's college account. "Thanks," I said. He nodded. "Let's just move on." "We will," I said. "Just not the same way." He didn't argue. He just nodded again and left. A few days later, Mom called and asked to meet us at the park. Violet wanted to go, so we did. Mom was sitting on a bench holding a paper bag of snacks. She looked tired. When Violet ran up, Mom bent down and hugged her. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," she said. "I shouldn't have let things get so ugly. You remind me too much of her sometimes." Violet frowned. "Of who?" "Your mom," Mom said softly. "That's not your fault." Violet smiled. "Dad says that means I'm brave." Mom's eyes welled up. She hugged her again, and for once it felt genuine. We stayed for a while feeding ducks. Mom sat on the bench watching us, quiet. When we left, she waved. It wasn't forgiveness, not really, but it was something. A few days later, I took Violet to the hardware store. She was already planning next year's volcano. "Bigger and stronger," she said. She picked PVC pipes and bright red paint, humming the whole time. At the checkout, she looked up at me and said, "Next time, we should make 2. One for me and one for you." I smiled. "Deal, but yours has to win." She grinned. "Obviously." On the drive home, the window was down, her hair flying in the wind. The radio hummed low. For once, there was no noise from the family. No guilt waiting in my phone. Just peace. That night, I stood on the balcony while the laundromat hummed below. The city lights blinked like small fires. Inside, Violet was asleep, her drawings taped to the wall. Volcanoes, mountains, hearts. We'd made it through. Not perfectly, not easily, but stronger. She really was her mother's kid, and that was enough. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.